The first article I'm going to talk about is called So Jane Caro Thinks Traditional Marriage Was Prostitution. This dates September 3rd, 2014. And the author, as depicted in this picture, is a pink-haired, let's say, low attractiveness woman. I'm not going to say from which movement, social movement. Anyway, we see a picture of a woman, obviously gagged, with a veil on her head and shackles. Nothing could be further from the truth in 2021. This week's episode of ABC's typically male-dominated show Q&A involved a panel of women who were speakers at Sydney's Festival of Dangerous Ideas. While the show presented far more conservative than radical ideas about gender, author and social commentator Jane Caro was provocative with her suggestion that marriage was historically a form of prostitution. And I ask, historically? A wise man once said, "There is no romance without finance." Where is that line? Let's read on and see. In answer to a question about sex workers, Caro explained that in the past, marriage was in some respects a kind of economic exchange of women's bodies. Conjugal rights and expectations about childbearing were integral to the deal. Caro was asking viewers to consider how some of the conditions of sex work, which are often used to demean women in the industry as lesser beings, have applied more broadly to women throughout history, especially prior to the 20th century. Now we see a link to a video that does not exist anymore. That could be a telling sign. Some viewers interpreted Caro's comments to imply a connection between today's stay-at-home moms and prostitutes and whores. Those angry reactions expose the continued denigration of women who sell sex, while the men who are their clients, around 15% of Australian men, do not become lessened by the interaction. Let me call bullshit on this one. A powerful, independent, strong, brave woman who chooses her own career path, making lots of money, choosing her own clients. That is not something that's uncommon on this planet. Now, this is an article from Australia, but it is representative of the twisted ideas that mainstream media in the West are portraying. Caro subsequently published an article to calm the critical reaction and clarify that she was not referring to heterosexual marriages in contemporary society. Comma, not period, but okay. But was she correct to say that marriage historically shares similarities with prostitution? Well, you take away the romantic part of it and the ceremonial and religious aspects of it, and what are you left with? In 2021? Absolutely nothing. What's in it for men? Danger. Yet criticism of people who married without love dates back at least to the 18th century in Britain, and perhaps surprisingly, you don't need a comma after and. I'm an English teacher, please excuse me. Perhaps surprisingly, several notable writers of the period explicitly compared such marriages to a form of prostitution. Daniel Defoe of Robinson Crusoe fame wrote in Conjugal Lewdness, or Matrimonial Whoredom, 1727, "He or she who, with that slight and superficial affection, ventures into the matrimonial vow, are to me little more than legal prostitutes." Now, we can argue with this all we want. You can compare, costs, attitude, attractiveness, honesty, and so forth that I already mentioned, the legal aspects of men are being criminalized for, paying someone for sex, and the women are getting off scot-free and tax-free with no supervision. The Swedish model, a policy that is blatantly misandrist. It's against men, not anyone else. It's not that they criminalized all sex workers, especially not TikTokers or thoughts on YouTube or anywhere else, or OnlyFans, or really, where's the line? It's so blurry here in 2021. Let's look at another article. My apologies that my video is blocking the view, but this is from the Jamaica Observer. Okay? In a picture you see, and we assume the guy on the left is a guy. Marriage and prostitution. What's the difference? Dated Monday, October 5th, 2015 by Kimberly Hibbert. It has been argued by many that marriage is a long-term prostitution, wherein women are trading sex for economic security, much like a woman of the night exchanges sexual favors in return for cash. The wife exchanges the same in exchange for the ring, the home, and family. To be honest, when I refuse sex, my husband doesn't let go of the money quite as easily as when I comply. And when I'm an amorous, I get what I want, said Mandeville housewife JB. And she continues, in the past, he would even leave the money on the dresser after he was finished, but nowadays I'm handed the debit card and he will suggest that I go and buy myself something nice, but only after an extended period of compliance on my part. The line is even more blurred in Jamaica, I'm guessing. Indeed, one may argue that the hustler has more autonomy over her interactions, as she can choose her clients and her price. And a woman that chooses marriage doesn't? Let's see. The wife, on the other hand, must have endured years of trading with the same partner. God forbid. It's like it's in the vows or something. Who often has no qualms about refusing to pay in cash or other reward for services rendered, if he thinks the service was sloppy, explained LS, a master's student who has been married for 6 years. In the book, The Philosophy of Sex, Contemporary Readings by Sobel et al. Means etc., etc. These are the people who wrote it. German philosopher Immanuel Kant was quoted as recommending marriage as the sole moral agency of sex because only marriage enables people to give each other the respect that human beings deserve, while also gratifying their instinctual needs. I'm sorry, Kant, but to give each other the respect that human beings deserve, that is very much in question these days and have been for 50 years. This uniformic way of looking at this, the one-way look observance point is, well, very rare. According to Kant, only if we have a right over another person can we have a right to use that person's sexuality for our own selfish benefit. This comes into being through the contractual institution that is marriage. Ladies and gentlemen both, I hope this video was more objective and more educational. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'm Michael Gray for the Man O'Clock News.